Hello children, welcome back to my talks, and these are the questions from the first unit, okay, reproduction. This is for class 12th biology, okay, and each of the question carries 2 marks. Now children, my main aim of sharing these questions with you is how to answer, how much to answer and what to write for a particular question to prepare you well for your board exam so that you score much better, okay. So the very first question is identify the type of flower shown in A and B and which out of the two will produce an assured seed set. Okay, so you can see the points A and B. Okay, both are there. So mark it. It is half marks plus 1 marks. Which out of the two means for each of the question it is the marking is there. Now let us come to the next question. Okay, the next question is yes, the answers are also there. As I had told you, I'll be sharing the complete thing. So A is casmogamous flower, B is clistogamous flower, and the next answer is clistogamous flower produces an assured seed set. Now, second question is, in the TS of a mature anther given below, identify A and B. A and B very clearly shown in the figure and mention their functions. A is porogenous tissue, forms microspores or pollen grains, and B is tapetum, nourishes the developing pollen grains. Got it? Now, third question is, in the table given below, select and enter one correct device out of the following oral pill or condom: copper T, Saheli, vasectomy, diaphragm, tubectomy, and cervical cap. Okay, so method of birth control and device, it is devices you have to write. So barrier, for barrier it is diaphragm, condom, cervical cap. IUD is copper T. Okay, surgical technique is vasectomy or tubectomy, and for hormonal administration, it is oral pills or Saheli. Now the next question is, given below is an incomplete flow chart showing influence of hormones or gametogenesis in males. Observe the flow chart carefully and fill in the blanks A, B, C and D. Now see the flow chart. This is the flow chart. Okay. Pituitary, you can see ICH, then FSH, Leydig cells, C. Here you have to name the cell. Then A is name the hormone. Factors stimulates, name the process B and name the process D. So A is androgen or testosterone, it's a male hormone. B is spermatogenesis is the process. C is Sertoli cells and D spermiogenesis. Okay, so up till fourth question. Now let's come to fifth. Fifth is this. Study the given figure below and answer the questions that follow. Name the stage of human embryo the figure represents, that is blastocyst. Identify A in the figure and mention its function. Okay, it is identify A. Trophoblast hai, and it helps in attachment of the blastocyst to the endometrium of uterine cell. And C question, mention the fate of the inner cell mass after implantation in the uterus. That is, the inner cell mass gets differentiated as the embryo. And D is, where are the stem cells located in this embryo? That is what? The inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells which have the potency, which have the capability to give rise to all the tissues and organs. Okay. Sixth question, draw a vertical section of maize grain and label pericarp, scutellum, coleoptile and radicle. This is the diagram. Learn to draw the diagram also with the label. Okay. The next question, seventh, why do some women use Saheli pills? Okay, for prevention of pregnancy, that is contraception. Eighth, even though each pollen grain has 2 male gametes, why are at least 10 pollen grains and not 5 pollen grains required to fertilize 10 ovules present in particular carpel? This is because of occurrence of double fertilization. One of the male gametes fuses with the egg cell and results in the formation of diploid gamete. The other male gamete fuses with the central cell to produce a triploid endosperm. Okay? Why is an apple called false fruit and banana parthenocarpic? Banana is a parthenocarpic because it completely lacks the seeds. In banana, the fruit is formed from ovary development without pollination and fertilization. Okay. And the next one is, yes, apple, a poem is a false fruit because the thalamus also contributes to the fruit formation. Okay, 10th question. Explain how geitonogamy is functionally similar to cross-pollination. Involves the transfer of pollen grains from anthers of one flower to the stigma of the other flower belonging to the same plant or genetically similar plant. It resembles cross-pollination in transfer of pollen grains transfer of pollen grains and role of pollinating agent, but actually is self-pollination as the two plants involved in the process are genetically similar. Okay, now the next question. Name any two copper releasing intrauterine devices, that is IUDs, and list two reasons that make them effective contraceptives. The copper releasing IUDs are multi-load 375, copper T, Cu7, etc. And these devices slowly allow the diffusion of copper at the rate of 50 milligrams per day. IUDs increase phagocytosis of sperms in the uterus, and the copper ions released suppress the sperm motility and their ability to fertilize the ovum. If you squeeze a seed of orange, you might observe many embryos of different sizes. How is it possible? Explain. An orange is a citrus fruit which shows polyembryony stage, and its seed possesses more than one embryo. Hence, when a seed is squeezed, okay, number of embryos of different sizes come out. Differentiate between menarche and menopause. Menarche refers to the first menstrual cycle that marks the beginning of puberty in females at the age of 12-13 years, and menopause refers the last menstrual cycle, okay, that an adult female undergoes at an age of 45 to 50 years. Now the next one, differentiate between a major structural changes in human ovary during follicular and luteal phase of the menstrual cycle. During follicular phase of menstruation, the primary follicles in the ovary grow to become the mature Graafian follicles. The increase in LH and FSH stimulates the follicular development as well as secretion of estrogens by the growing follicles. At mid-cycle, there is an LH surge, that is luteinizing hormone surge. Surge means increase, which causes the rupture of Graafian follicle to release the ovum. Now this is followed by the luteal phase. In luteal phase, that occurs after ovulation. Formation of corpus luteum occurs that starts secreting the hormone progesterone that maintains the uterine endometrium and keeps it ready for implantation. Excuse me. Explain the zygote intrafallopian transfer technique, that is ZIFT, and how is it intrauterine transfer technique different from it. So ZIFT is zygote intrafallopian transfer, involves in vitro fertilization, in vitro, and then transfer of zygote up to 8 blastomeres into the fallopian tube of the female. And IUT, intrauterine transfer, involves in vitro fertilization and transfer of embryo with more than 8 blastomeres directly into the uterus of the female. Given below is a TS of an apple. Identify A, B and C, and why is an apple considered as a false fruit? Now the diagram is here. Yes, okay. A is thalamus, B is seed, and C is endocarp. The next part of the question, why it is false fruit? Okay, because in this the thalamus grows along with the ovary to form the fruit. 17th is, a fertilized egg is blueprint of future development. Explain. A fertilized egg divides mitotically to form number of cells, okay, and these cells show this arrangement, show morphogenetic movements to arrange themselves in 3 germinal layers, okay. And what are the 3 germinal layers? Ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. And this arrangement initiates the phases of differentiation and specialization. Different groups of cells of a particular germinal layer change their shape and gets differentiated into structures or organs of the individual. All the cells with different developmental potentialities form the different organs, that is brain, eye, heart, skin, etc. Describe the lactational amenorrhea method of birth control. This method is based on the fact that ovulation and menstrual cycle do not occur during the period of intense lactation. During parturition, therefore, as long as the mother breast feeds the child fully, chances of conception are almost nil. However, this method has been reported to be effective only up to maximum period of 6 months following parturition, means delivery. As no medicines and devices are used, side effects are almost nil. Chances of failures are high. A moss plant produces a large number of anthrozoids but relatively only a few egg cells. Why? In moss, the eggs are located in the archegonium for fertilizing them. Anthrozoids swim in water to reach the eggs, and their production is in large number increases the chances of fertilization. Mention the reasons for difference in ploidy of zygote and primary endosperm nucleus in an angiosperm. Zygote is formed due to fusion of two haploid gametes, hence it is diploid, that is 2n, n और n आएगा तो 2n हो जाएगा. Endosperm develops from triploid, that is two polar nuclei and one egg cell, not egg cell, that is male gamete. Okay, nucleus formed due to fusion of male gamete n and two polar nuclei. So, दो polar nuclei 2n plus one male gamete n makes 3n. How many haploid cells are present in a mature female gametophyte of a flowering plant? There are 6 haploid cells in mature female gametophyte of a flowering plant, antipodals 3, egg 1 and synergids 2. Placenta acts as an endocrine tissue. Placenta produces several hormones like human chorionic gonadotrophin, HCG, human placental lactogen, HPL, estrogens, progesterones, etc. In later stages of pregnancy, a hormone relaxin is also produced by it. Hence, calling placenta an endocrine tissue is justified. Now the question is, the number of taxa exhibiting a sexual reproduction is drastically reduced in the higher plants, that is in angiosperms and higher animals. Now this is 23rd question. Focus it properly. Or invertebrates as compared with lower groups of plants and animals. Analyze the possibilities and reasons for this situation. Both angiosperms and vertebrates have a more complex structural organization, and they have evolved very efficient mechanisms of sexual reproduction. Since asexual reproduction does not create new genetic pools, okay, in the offspring and consequently hampers their adaptability to external conditions, these groups have resorted to reproduction by the sexual method. Draw the sketches of zoospore and conidium. Mention two dissimilarities between them. So these are the diagrams. Okay, and dissimilarities दिया हुआ है zoospores और conidium. ठीक है? I hope it's very clear. I'm focusing it. Okay. Next question. Given below are the events that are observed in an artificial hybridization program. Okay, arrange them in the correct sequence. तो ये arranged है. Okay, B, E, C, F, D and A. So इस sequence में arrange करना है. मतलब B पहले होगा. Selection of parents. उसके बाद E है. ठीक है, you can see emasculation. Then comes C, that is bagging. Then comes F, that is collection of pollen from male parent. Comes D, dusting, and A, rebagging. ठीक है? Why does the zygote begin to divide only after the division of primary endosperm cell? The zygote needs nourishment during its development, and as the mature fertilized embryo sac offers very little nourishment to the zygote, the PEC, that is primary endosperm cell, divides and generates the endosperm tissue, which nourishes the zygote. Hence, the zygote always divides after division of PEC. The next question, 27th. Corpus luteum in pregnancy has a long life. However, if fertilization does not take place, it remains active only for 10 to 12 days. This is because of the neural signal given by the maternal endometrium to its hypothalamus in presence of a zygote to sustain the gonadotrophin, that is LH secretion, so as to maintain the corpus luteum as long as the embryo remains there. In the absence of a zygote, therefore, the corpus luteum cannot be maintained longer. What are the events taking place in the ovary and uterus during follicular phase? That is, primary follicle grows and becomes fully mature, Graafian follicles, and secretion of estrogen hormone second. Third is endometrium of uterus regenerates through proliferation. Given below is a chart showing ovarian changes during menstrual cycle. Fill in the spaces with the hormonal factors responsible for the events. ठीक है, तो A, primary follicle, Graafian follicle, ova और corpus luteum. A, B, C, बीच में क्या होगा? Which hormones are responsible. Okay, so you can see FSH and estrogen. Okay, then B you can see LH, this is B, and C progesterone. Then we come to 30th question. Okay, in GIFT, gametes are transferred to the fallopian tube. Can gametes be transferred to the uterus to achieve the same results? Okay, explain. The uterine environment is not congenial for the survival of the gamete. If directly transferred to the uterus, they will undergo degenerations or could be phagocytosed, and hence viable zygote would not be formed. Now, 31st, briefly explain IVF and ET. What are the conditions in which these methods are advised? IVF and ET refers to in vitro fertilization and embryo transfer. Gametes from the male and females are collected hygienically and induced to fuse in the laboratory setup under stimulated conditions. The zygote formed is collected and is introduced into the uterine region of a host or surrogate mother at an appropriate time. Early embryos, that is, you can see children up to 8 cells are transferred to fallopian tube, where embryos with more than 8 cells are transferred to uterus. All reproductive tract infections, that is RTIs, are STDs, but all STDs are not RTIs. So among the common STDs, gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, and chlamydiasis, hepatitis B, all this could not be through sexual contact. All other diseases are transmitted through sexual contact. Okay, so 32 questions. These are 2 marks questions, okay, from the first unit. So do learn it, and only then it will be useful, because only my giving is not there. I'm sharing it so that you study and it is useful for you. Okay, children. And for those of you again not subscribed, do subscribe, share and like. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.